YOLO! I got a wild barrel-aged saison, one of my favorite styles. It's the Trillium Lineage Oat from their series of, I guess, different wild barreled saisons that feature specific grains. This one has oat. I've had the Lineage Rye, and I don't think I've had the Lineage Wheat. The Lineage Rye was pretty good. I don't remember it that super well, and I actually haven't had so many Trillium Wild Ales and sour beers. I've had, a couple of them, and they're pretty good. But the ones I've had at least weren't super funky. I think maybe some of the more expensive, rarer ones are maybe have a little bit more Brettanomyces complexity to them. Hopefully this one does, but of course, whenever I look up online, there'll be one person who says, whoa, this is so funky, and another person who says, oh, it's very clean and sour. So I'll have to guess myself. They released this one a couple months ago, and I'm sure they were bottle conditioning it for a while before then. There's no date on it or anything though, because I'm sure you can age it for forever. But I wanted to try it while it was not, well, there might be some sweetness and some saison characteristics still in it. It was aged for 13 months in puncheons, which are just smaller foeders, so in oak barrels that are between giant foeders and small regular barrels. I can smell some sourness already coming out of it. And maybe there's a little bit of funk going on. And they said that they didn't bottle condition this to make it quite as crazy carbonated as some of their other wild beers, because they wanted us to be able to notice the oat softness a little bit, which is okay with me. Hopefully it's still got a nice spritziness to it, because I love that in these wild ales, but I've never had one that really specifically featured oat. And looks quite beautiful coming out of there. A good amount of carbonation, but not crazy carbonated. It looks quite beautiful. It looks, it's too dark to be white wine, too much head to be cider, but very elegant with, a few bubbles still bubbling up there. Super clear. There's some sediment on the bottom, but I didn't rouse it. I think maybe a little bit got up there. Yeah, it smells very sour fruit forward. And they say that it's used their native New England wild culture for this beer. I don't know if they used any actual traditional saison yeast in here. If it did, it's kind of got taken over by the yeast and bacteria during the barrel aging. It smells very, very winey, very vinous. Tart white grape. Very, very unripe, sour tropical fruits maybe. Like a really unripe nectarine or peach. And there's like a funky on the edge. It's not barnyardy, but there's something very slightly musty about it. Otherwise, it smells a little bit like some wild, super dry, sour ciders or a Vino Verde, but I can tell it's going to be a lot drier than a Vino Verde. I'm still keeping some bubbles on the edges here, even though the acidity often, cuts the head, especially if it's not crazy carbed. But perhaps it won't be as acidic as I thought. Oh yeah, it's also 6.8% alcohol, and it's mostly Pilsner malts, as you can probably guess with the color. Yeah, there's good tartness there. Makes your mouth water, but it's not super puckering and vinegary. Definitely some acetic acid, some malt vinegar, but very bright and fruity for sure. There is a touch of sweetness, it lingers with a white wine edge for sure, but there's some sweetness that makes it so it seems like it's got some sort of riper fruits in there, and I don't want to say a buttery edge, but there's more of there's some kind of a biscuity, breadier thing happening. I don't know, there might be some diacetyl. I heard that one of the first batches of Lineage wheat was really diacetyl-y, but I don't really get it much in the nose, and that's often where you get it. Well, there's some kind of a slickness in the mouth. Interesting. It tastes like Chardonnay, I guess. But an oaky, but not crazy buttery Chardonnay. It has that like sharp yet sweet white grape edge to it. Yeah, there's just a little bit of a lingering acetic acid for sure happening in there. It's not all in your face lemon lactic acid. I don't know if there's much going on, but it doesn't taste like some sort of fancy Berliner Weisse. It was okay. It's just definitely something else. It's not goose like. And I guess yeah, there's some peary notes for sure, but it's not the normal pear flavor I get from saisons. It's close, but I can't tell if it's just coming from the barrel aging, the tartness, or from the actual saison yeast. And there isn't much pepper and clove and spiciness like there would be in a saison either. Quite drinkable. Yeah, I was thinking it was gonna be super sour at first, but I like the sweetness in the back end, and I didn't chill this super cold. But it's still refreshing, and it has a really rich, lingering quality that's like not. I don't want to say it's diacetyl, but I should look to see if other people have had some sort of buttery or some biscuity thing happening in it. But it's not buttered popcorn aroma or anything. It's just very oaky and vinous in the aroma. And then a lot like some really complex grade, I guess champagne. I don't know, I didn't mention champagne, but it has a champagne quality, but not super carbonated like some champagne, but yeah, and not a brut champagne, just maybe like an extra dry or something. And I don't know what else really to say about it. It's pretty well made. I don't know if it's worth trading a million things for. I bought this at the brewery and it was like $16, which isn't so bad, but I wish it were funkier. Of course, I wish I had more Brett, but it has definitely a lot of complexity and interesting fruity things happening. And it's not too cidery. I would say, yeah, it's more like pear cider and some sort of sour apple cider. And not too sour, though it is, I would say, acetic acid forward rather than the lactobacillus lactic acid that I find to be overwhelmingly lemony if there's a lot in a beer at first, and low on the spice. So it's if you like, medium dry white wines and saisons and gouzes that aren't too funky, this would probably be up your alley. But I wouldn't give it a massive score or anything like that. I don't know. It has a 4.13 on Untappd. I guess I would agree with that. But it doesn't have much luscious fruity body. It's just the finish is a little bit sweet and on the edge of buttery Chardonnay. The aroma's probably a little bit better. I don't know, but at least it varies from the aroma to the flavor in a way that makes it really interesting. Where I thought it wasn't going to quite be that interesting at first. All right, bye.